Hi, I'm Michael Marin. At Holy Name Medical Center, we believe that all citizens need to be informed about the important healthcare issues that affect their daily lives. That's why we're proud to support programming produced by the Caucus Educational Corporation and their partners in public television.
Funding for this edition of Caucus, New Jersey has been provided by New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, auto insurance, homeowners insurance, and banking under the principle of stewardship. PSE&G, committed to improving New Jersey's economy and strengthening its communities. Cohn Resnick, providing accounting, tax, and advisory services for more than 90 years. QualCare Inc., a local managed care company covering 750,000 New Jersey residents. The law firm of Gibbons PC. United Water, making the planet sustainable is the best job on earth. And by NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan. Turn a dream into a degree.
Hi, I'm Steve Adubato. It is my pleasure to introduce our very special guest. He is David Alfonse. He is an instructor of computer-aided design and directed field research at the Marine Academy of Science and Technology in beautiful Sandy Hook, New Jersey. You've been there since 1984?
1984.
By the way, real quick, what is the Marine Academy of Science and Technology?
It is, the Wikipedia definition would be, it's a part of the Monmouth County Vocational School District. It's a specialized high school. Our students come to us with a yen for marine oceanography, marine biology, marine technology, but we have a third component, and that's the NJROTC. All of our students
What the heck is that?
The Naval Junior Reserve Officers Training Corps.
Got it.
And all of our students go through that 4 years.
And by the way, you come to us through our partners at the New Jersey Education Association through a wonderful series called Classroom Close-Up. You're about to see a video that tells a story about David and his work. The interactive herbarium?
That is correct.
And I don't even want to say what it is, but that is an initiative that you've been a part of.
It is, and we were my partner and I, which is Cheryl McDonald, applied for the Frederick Hip Foundation Award.
Right.
And that's how we got the Classroom Close-Up. And herbarium that we designed was to go ahead and collect the plant species of Sandy Hook.
We're about to see that video. Classroom Close-Up is a series that airs on our station in New Jersey, our public television station, NJTV. After you see the clip, we'll come back and talk to David. It's a powerful story. And again, you cannot be at Sandy Hook and not be adversely impacted by Hurricane Sandy. That's the other part, chapter 2 of the story. Let's take a look at Classroom Close-Up, and we'll come back and talk to David.
These students from MAST, the Marine Academy of Science and Technology, are working to create an interactive herbarium, a physical and virtual collection of the plant species native to Sandy Hook. Sandy Hook also happens to be where MAST, a 4-year career academy focusing on marine sciences, technology, and engineering, is located.
So now we're taking the Saladago, the seaside goldenrod, and we're going to put it in between the special paper that we have that's used to dry out the plant, and then we can use the leaves, the flower, and the stem for identification later.
Directed field research combines the best of both worlds. We use the natural environment of Sandy Hook that you see around us, but we also have a technological twist to it. So while we're using the natural environment, we also are heavily infused the technology aspect as well.
Technology being used to create the herbarium includes an iPad specially fitted for field research and GPS devices that record the locations where plant samples are taken from. Both were purchased with funds from a grant awarded by the Frederick L. Hip Foundation for Excellence in Education.
The money has made the difference in this project, for sure, especially in the electronic components that we've been able to purchase with that money.
The end goal is for people that are coming to Sandy Hook, they'll go on the website and see a map. They'll choose what part of Sandy Hook they want to travel to, and by looking on the map, the interactive map on our website, they'll be able to see the types of plants they'll be able to see while they're there.
My heart was broken. I never realized how much I loved my school. I had moderate damage in my house. My mother-in-law had severe damage in her house in Little Lake Harbor. but it was the loss of Mast that made me feel the most inside.
With Sandy Hook's infrastructure compromised and the school damaged by flooding, the Marine Academy of Science and Technology had to be relocated.
Right now, the Marine Academy is in St. Joe's in Keyport, New Jersey.
The storm and subsequent relocation affected everyone at Mast and impacted numerous projects, including the interactive herbarium.
The actual specimens, they might have been destroyed, or if they weren't destroyed, we probably won't be able to get them back because of the mold contaminations. So we're more focused on adding all of the information on the plants we've collected into the website.
Mast plans to reopen its campus in the fall, and even though this year's seniors won't be attending classes there again, the school intends to have the 2013 graduation ceremony on Sandy Hook.
That's one of the things that's exciting me. Every year I've seen the kids graduate out on Pershing Field, and once I heard that they're going to give us that, if anything else, we're going to graduate on Pershing Field, and that's something I'm looking forward to.
It's an amazing story. By the way, I should make it clear, I think it's clear after you see that video, we're talking about Sandy Hook, New Jersey.
Yes.
Right on the coast there. I mean, it would have been powerful enough, David, if we just told the story if there were no hurricane to be talking about. The devastation, the pain, the idea that the Marine Academy of Science and Technology was devastated. It's not there. Is it coming back?
Our school is coming back. Our plans now are to return to Sandy Hook September the 1st. And we are making strides towards that, both to replace any of the infrastructure damage that happened, as well as the interior of the building.
As an educator, as part of this series that we do with the NJIT, celebrating educational excellence and innovation, the Classroom Close-Up, how has this storm, the aftermath of the storm, the reaction of the students, and its impact on you, changed your view of teaching?
The Marine Academy is such an unusual school. I have to kind of answer it within that guise. Our school really is a family. It's a very, very unique educational experience.
A family?
It really is.
Not too strong a word?
No, it really isn't. The professionals that work there, the students that are there, and maybe it's because of being on this barrier spit peninsula of Sandy Hook. We are totally self-contained. We came together at St. Joseph's. We only lost 2 students.
I mean,
Only
St.
2.
Joseph, the relocation.
The relocation area. As far as how the actual programs and how the educators, we're resilient. We're moving forward. We're keeping, though, our eye always on the prize that we are returning to Sandy Hook. And in the meantime, everyone there, this is the seniors and the professional staff, are working towards that goal. And that's kind of what's keeping everyone together. The alumni have supported us in unbelievable fashion.
What do you think it's done for the students?
It's tested their mettle. It's tested their resolve. As an environmental school, when it met this environmental disaster, a lot of their personal projects, a lot of their personal items, they're gone, or we don't know where they are. So we have students that literally have a year or more of their work that just is, they had to get back. They had to get back off the floor, and we're all with this one focused goal. We will return to Sandy Hook.
Finally, you're as committed as ever to teaching and these students.
Yes. This would definitely, if you were not an educator, if this was not your life goal, you would not have been able to survive this.
You are a credit to your profession, and your students are fortunate to have you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Thank
David
you.
Alfonse, we appreciate you being with us.
Thank you so much.
We appreciate you joining us and celebrating educational excellence as part of our Classroom Close-Ups series with the NJIT. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Thank you.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at caucusnj.org, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, Ph.D.
We're pleased to be joined by Dr. Casey Crabill, President, Raritan Valley Community College. Good to have you with us.
Thanks for having me.
We're doing this program in the spring of 2013.
Mm-hmm.
And after, how many years have you been at Raritan?
7.
7 years. You're moving to another community college in Syracuse.
In Syracuse, yes.
What is your love and connection to community and county colleges? What is it?
Oh, so it goes way back. When I was in 10th grade, my mom went back to school. She had put that off, having children, and staying home until we were ready to launch, and that it was her time. And she went to Hudson Valley Community College in upstate New York, where I'm from. And I got to see firsthand the difference that a community college education made for her as a person, being able to take some delayed goals. She became a nurse, and in retrospect, as I became a professional, I got to understand the economic difference that that experience made for our whole family. So I come to it from a very personal experience, long connection, and a real drive to keep that opportunity available to people like my mom.
You know, throughout this segment, you're going to see a website for the New Jersey Council of County Colleges. And that's how we first met you, and we started doing a series of programs, because we wanted to better understand this layer, if you will, this transition. My wife, I've said this many times, went to Bergen Community College before she went to Montclair State. Like many students, after high school, needed to make the transition, was challenged. How common is it that students who graduate from high school need to make that transition, and that is the place they do it?
It's very common, and the transition comes in lots of different forms. We typically hear about students who need to make a transition academically. Maybe they have some math skills or some English skills that haven't developed to the point that would allow that student to be competitive in a college environment. So when I look at the students coming to Raritan Valley, I see about 30% of those students who need to develop their English and writing skills so that they can then launch successfully as juniors at senior institutions.
And you're doing things about that, though. Be specific, because
we absolutely
at Raritan, you're actually engaged with the high schools in curriculum and saying, hey, wait a minute, we know, time out. We know there's an issue. We don't want to wait too long.
Right.
We want to be proactive. What's happening?
Well, we're working right now with about 16 high school districts in lots of different ways. I think the important thing about community colleges is we can tailor our response. We're rooted in the community, so if a district wants to work in one direction, we can do that, and we can go a different way with another district. So we've been exploring with folks what we can do to provide the most assistance, and it ranges from simply providing that college placement assessment early for students so that students and their parents can understand, typically in the 11th grade, how are they doing in terms of being on track to be college ready. Still gives them the senior year to do some brush up or take some additional work, or maybe take a math class that they weren't planning on taking because they need to fill in those gaps.
But aren't they also taking potentially college courses earlier?
Yes, we have a concurrent enrollment program with about 16 districts where students who are ready to dip their toe in the water to try college, to maybe get 3 credits before they graduate high school, can take a course that's called a concurrent enrollment course. The college identifies qualified teachers. Sometimes they're teachers already in the high school. Sometimes they're folks that we bring in that work for us as part-time faculty. And the course is delivered in the high school day for students who are ready for those classes. And it allows students to have a collegiate experience and to try out their skills, but also to pursue an area of interest that maybe the high school isn't able to offer a curriculum in anthropology, but we're able to bring that class in so that students can get that experience early.
You know, Doctor, you've had this experience, this connection to community colleges for several years. You've seen the changes. I'm a student of branding, reputation, public reputation, the way people present themselves, or organizations and institutions present themselves. How have you seen the brand of community colleges change over the last 15, 20 years?
So I think people are starting to understand that we're both complex and excellent. It's like that old story about how people perceive an elephant. It's whatever part of the elephant you're personally encountering.
It's an interesting analogy.
A long time ago, people might think, oh, community colleges, that's just for students who struggled in high school, or that's just for students who want workforce training. And I think our complexity is really beginning to emerge as communities learn more and more about these resources that they have right there locally, so that people understand now that we can serve a range of students. Raritan Valley, for example, has an honors college, a selective admissions honors college for students who want that intensive honors experience close to home. There are lots of reasons why students want to stay close to home: family obligations, work, civic involvement. One of my students stayed behind because she lives on a farm and she felt obligated to continue her role on the farm.
And the reaction and response of parents?
And parents are finding that the quality that they can get in a community college where students have small classes, faculty members who know them personally, who can provide that kind of up-close guidance and advisement, that's really beneficial for students, even freshmen and sophomores who are trying to find their ways. And I think that, in some ways, the economics of higher education are having more families take a close look at community colleges.
What do you mean by that, the economics of higher ed?
We're a more affordable route for many people who want to, support their student through a bachelor's degree and need to take what they have and stretch it so that it covers that full bachelor's degree
We'll deal with that real
experience.
quick in the time we have left. Some misconceptions. Some people watching right now may say, well, wait a minute, I'd like to do that, but how do I know that the credits that I take are, quote, transferable to a four-year school?
So in New Jersey, the legislature passed a bill that challenged higher education to come together, form a transfer agreement. That was an agreement forged among presidents of 2- and 4-year institutions, and it says that a student who completes an associate degree at a New Jersey county college and transfers to a New Jersey senior institution, that transfers with junior status with 50% of the degree left to complete. And each of the senior institutions has been a very active partner in making that transfer real for students. So I think people can rest assured that that question's been resolved.
That's a collaborative relationship with the four-year institutions.
Yes, it is. Yes.
So you're going back home to Syracuse.
I am.
You're staying connected to community colleges.
Always.
It is part of your life, part of your professional world.
Indeed, yes.
And we're going to miss you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful state to work in. New Jersey's community colleges are amazing places.
Well, you're still going to be connected to us.
Absolutely.
And you're still a friend of the show. Come back anytime.
Thank you.
Dr. Casey Crabill, President at Raritan Valley Community College. We appreciate you joining us and wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
Appreciate it.
Stay with us. We'll be right back right after this. Thank you, Casey.
If you would like more information on this program, or if you'd like to express an opinion, email us at info@caucusnj.org. Visit us online at caucusnj.org, or find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Steve Adubato, Ph.D.
We have Dr. Bryan Pfister, who is Associate Professor, Department of Biomedical Engineering at NJIT. Good to see you, Doctor.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, break this down. Sometimes we have scientists here who are like, what are you talking about? But you are talking about stretching axons, the part of the nerve cell that sends electrical impulses. Talk to us, and why have you brought silly putty to break this down? Go ahead, talk to us.
Okay, so what my area of research is in traumatic brain injury. That's where we're looking at how the brain gets damaged to some sort of physical insult. The axons are these wires, as you had mentioned, that connect all the different neurons in the brain that send the signals around the brain. And in many brain injuries, we lose those wires, then we lose the signal. The reason I brought the silly putty is to give you an example of how the different types of injuries might lead to different types of brain injuries. So for example, if you're in an automobile accident, you might expect to be in a different situation than if you were playing football, or if you were in a war and got exposed to some sort of blast wave.
So, first point, the type of brain injury matters a great deal with respect to what?
To the physical insult, the traumatic event that occurs. And if I may,
sure.
I brought a little childhood toy here called Silly Putty.
Got it.
Right? This is what we call a viscoelastic material. Which viscoelastic material.
Got it.
Visco meaning it's a little bit of fluid, it flows. Elastic meaning it has some structure to it, so it's a solid. And the key is that the rate at which you work with it, or how fast you apply your forces, determines on how the material behaves. So if I stretch it slow, right, it stretches. If I pull it fast, it breaks, right?
Got it.
And then if I even go to
you guys have this?
Even if I go to a much, much larger rate, So you can think about something that might get towards closer to a blast. It bounces, right? So we can let that go. So it bounces and it doesn't deform. So the rate at which you apply the forces to the material determine on how it behaves.
Now, were they supposed to replicate certain kinds of injuries?
Absolutely. So the idea is now you start thinking about brain as being something more like Jell-O than silly putty, right?
Right.
So if you deform it slow, if I took silly putty and shook it on a
Give me
plate.
silly putty back, guys. Terry, great. Keep talking.
The silly putty back. Go ahead.
You just threw. This is a brain. Don't be
It's a
throwing
brain,
around like
yes,
that.
exactly. So now if we look at something like Jell-O,
Right.
if we shake it on a plate, it wiggles, right? And if we look at something, and brain's going to be a little bit more like Jell-O-like than silly putty-like.
Not as elastic.
Not as elastic. Well, actually, softer in a sense, right? Because it's more squishy. But in a very similar rate, at much higher rates, if I was to expose Jell-O to extremely high rates of force, then it would start behaving more solid-like the silly putty did when I dropped it on the floor. I stretch it slow, it deforms. I drop it on the ground, it bounces and it does not deform. In fact, if you took silly putty and shot a gun at it, it would actually shatter into a bunch of little pieces. So it's the rate at which you deliver the forces.
But Doctor, ultimately, in layperson's language, when it really comes down to people who are watching right now saying, okay, this is fascinating.
Yeah.
What does it mean in terms of the treatment of these injuries?
Okay. Well, what we're thinking is that the different forces can lead to different types of brain injury. So if you're in an automobile accident, it would be a much slower force application to the head than if you were in a blast wave, right? So the blast is extremely fast. A blast wave happens on the order of microseconds, where a automobile accident, your brain goes through forces that occur over several milliseconds, several hundred milliseconds, in fact. So what happens is we're finding that the different types of insults to the head are leading to different types of brain injuries. So in an automobile accident, a lot of people can come out with very severe injuries, very slow injury, a lot of deformation of the brain tissue, a lot of damage occurring. In a blast wave, we don't really see that injury as much. We can't image it. We can't.
So on the MRI, doesn't it show up?
It's not on the MRI.
It's not on the MRI.
No, it is not.
So what do they look the same?
So, well, these axons are microscopic, right? These connections are microscopic.
You can't see them in the MRI.
Exactly.
So Muhammad Ali boxing or others who are boxing are getting multiple, hits to the brain. Something's happening to the brain, right?
Right.
Football player, multiple concussions. Something's happening to the brain.
They can't image it.
They can't image it.
So they're going off of symptoms when someone comes in. So the biggest problem we have now, 1.7 million Americans have a brain injury each year, right? There's a huge percentage of them that are mild. Some that might not even go to the hospital because they don't recognize until weeks, months later. They can't remember things. They're angry. They're not getting along with their wife. They're having a tough time at their job.
But your research potentially could do what?
What we're trying to do is we're trying to understand what is happening at that microscopic scale. So since we can't image it, we try to understand what is happening to the nervous system under these different types of physical forces that replicate the brain injury, to try to understand what's happening to the nervous system. If we understand what's happening to the nervous system as a result of the damaging forces, that gives us what we call targets that we can try to mend, right? So if we don't know what we want to fix, then it's hard to pick a treatment strategy to try to fix or cure the problem.
As I'm listening to you, Doctor, I'm realizing you're talking about the scientific process, which is slow by a layperson's interpretation like mine, which is methodical, which it needs to be, which has to have all these controls. And I'm sitting there going, yeah, and so what's the solution? It doesn't work that way.
Correct. It does not.
By design.
By design, right. So if, when a doctor wants to come in and say, okay, you have a brain injury or you have something wrong with you, you have diabetes. Okay, well, if you have diabetes, I know that we need to look at an insulin issue.
Here's the protocol.
A target. That's a target. We know what we're going to happen. We know what the problem is.
Brain injury is different.
We don't know what the problem is. We don't know how to fix it. So how do you pick a treatment?
We're way behind on this.
Correct. So you have to understand what the problem is first.
This is fascinating work. 1 minute left. Why is this your field of research?
That's actually
in 1 minute or less.
One long and or less. I actually worked with some colleagues that approached me one time and said, do you know what this term is? And they said DAI. It stands for diffuse axonal injury. And it's this mechanical damaging of the nervous system that leads to all this what's going on. And I was a mechanical engineer wanting to get into biomedical sciences.
Were you hooked?
And I was hooked from that moment.
Well, you and your colleagues at NJIT are doing groundbreaking work.
Thank you.
Every time we have one of your colleagues on, we learn something new. Dr. Bryan Pfister, Associate Professor, Department of Biomedical Engineering at NJIT. We appreciate you teaching us, and I'll try to be more patient. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
The preceding program has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating 25 years of broadcast excellence. N13 for WNET, NJTV, and WHYY. Funding for this edition of Caucus New Jersey has been provided by New Jersey Manufacturers Insurance Group, PSE&G, Cone Resnick, Qualcare Inc., the law firm of Gibbons PC, United Water, and by NJ Best, New Jersey's 529 College Savings Plan. Promotional support provided by The Star Ledger and NJ.com. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine. Caucus New Jersey has been produced in partnership with TriStar Studios.
First steps, first day of school, first game. When their first day of college arrives, will you be able to pay for it? NJ Best can help. It is the 529 College Savings Plan for New Jersey families, and you can start saving today with as little as $25. To learn about NJ Best 529 College Savings Plan, its investment objectives, risks, and costs, read the Investor Handbook available at 877-755-GRAD or njbest.com.